All right, ready to dive into a world where safety and precision are really the name of the game. We're talking nitroglycerin separator operators today.
Yeah, this is a career path you don't want to enter with shaky hands. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
But if you've got the nerves of steel and then technical know-how,
It can be pretty rewarding.
oh, absolutely. And speaking of rewarding, we're going to arm you with the knowledge to ace that interview. We'll break down what those hiring managers are really looking for. And trust me, it's more than just knowing how to, like, flip a switch.
It really is.
It's about showing you're all in on the nitroglycerin separation process. You live and breathe safety, and you can think on your feet when things get, well, a little heated, so to speak.
Exactly. So let's jump right into our very first interview question. This one's a classic. Everyone's heard it. Tell us about your experience working with nitroglycerin separators. And you might think, okay, easy peasy, I'll just list off my past jobs, but hold on a second. There's a way to answer this that'll make you really stand out from the crowd.
Absolutely. Instead of just those job titles, think about the actual skills, those experiences that really matter for this role. Did you work with similar equipment? Were you the safety guru, making sure everything ran by the book? Any hands-on training with, let's say, hazardous materials?
So what if you're kind of new to this whole thing? I mean, you can't just make up experience you don't have, can you?
You'd be surprised. Even without, direct experience with these specific separators, you can still talk about transferable skills from other process-driven industries. Think about it. Have you worked with any volatile chemicals? Do you have a knack for meticulous record keeping? How about troubleshooting, under pressure when things get complicated? These are all things employers want to hear.
That's a really good point. So it's kind of like connecting the dots for the interviewer, showing them that even if you haven't worked on this exact equipment, you've got the skills and the right mindset.
Exactly. You're ready to hit the ground running. And you know what? This is where a tool like RoleCatcher can be a lifesaver. Their AI can actually, it analyzes job descriptions, picks out those key skills employers are looking for in a nitroglycerin separator operator, and helps you highlight them. It's really impressive.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for job ads. You know what I mean? But let's say you've nailed that first part, that overview of your experience. What kind of follow-up questions should you be ready for?
Don't be surprised if they dig a little deeper into those previous roles. They might ask, what kind of safety protocols were you following? Or tell me about a time you had to troubleshoot a problem with similar equipment. This is where having those specific examples, ready to go will make you shine.
It's all about showing how much you know and how quickly you can think on your feet.
Right, exactly. Being able to think on your feet is so important.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. This one's big in this field. How do you ensure the safe operation of nitroglycerin separators? We're talking explosives here, so safety is like the top priority.
Oh, without a doubt. This question, it's all about seeing how safety conscious you are, if you get the risks, and if you're all about those protocols, following them to a T.
So just saying I'm a safe person, that's not going to cut it.
No, no, no. You got to show them, the stuff inside and out. The specific safety protocols, the regulations, all that jazz. We're talking lockout, tagout procedures, hazard communication standards, PPE requirements, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, for those of us who aren't exactly fluent in safety jargon, can you break down some of those terms? Like, what on earth are lockout, tagout procedures?
Of course, of course. Lockout, tagout. It's a big deal. Basically, it's a way to make sure dangerous machinery is shut down completely. Like, no chance of it accidentally starting up while someone's doing maintenance or repairs. It's all about physically locking the equipment in the off position and tagging it with a warning so nobody accidentally flips the switch, so to speak.
So it's about creating a system where accidents are basically impossible, especially when you're dealing with, nitroglycerin.
Exactly, that's it. You want to eliminate any chance of things going wrong. Now, going back to the interview question, you can't just rattle off a list of these procedures. You want to make it real,
Yeah.
Connect those protocols to what you've actually done.
So give us an example. How would you answer this question? Like, what would really wow a hiring manager?
Okay, so let's say in your last job at a chemical plant, you were the one in charge of these high-pressure reactors every single day. You could say something like, I implemented this seriously rigorous lockout, tagout program, went above and beyond the industry standards. We're talking training for every single operator on the exact procedures, regular audits to make sure everyone's on the same page. This proactive approach. 0 accidents while I was there.
Now, that's an answer that shows you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk when it comes to safety. You've actually made it happen, and that's huge.
It makes a difference. And to be ready for those follow-up questions, RoleCatcher's got your back. They have this interview practice feature. You can run through questions about safety scenarios really specific to this job and get feedback from their AI on how to make those answers even better. It's like having a secret weapon.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot, but let's keep this train moving. Question number 3. All right, so picking up where we left off, let's jump right into question number 3. And this one is all about efficiency. What steps do you take to ensure that the nitroglycerin separator is operating at peak efficiency? Sounds like they want someone who's proactive, detail-oriented, on top of their game.
You hit the nail on the head. This isn't just about knowing the equipment. It's about understanding everything that affects how well it runs. Temperature, flow rates, pressure, even how pure the raw materials are, it all matters.
Yeah, it's like seeing the whole picture, all those puzzle pieces fitting together. But how do you actually explain that in an interview,
Yeah.
Make them see you get it.
This is where you got to pull out those stories, those times you actually made a difference in efficiency. Think back, did you ever set up a new system that reduced downtime? Or maybe you spotted a bottleneck in the process and found a way to make it smoother.
Okay, so give us for instance, say you're working with a nitroglycerin separator. It's not performing the way it should. How do you walk the interviewer through your whole process?
I'm a big fan of structure, so I'd use the SPAR method. Situation, task, action, result. Lays it all out clear. For example, you could say, we were having trouble with separation yields at my last job. They were all over the place. My job was to figure out why and fix it. Basically, optimize the whole thing.
Right.
I started digging through the separator's performance logs, and that's when I noticed the cooling water temperature was fluctuating. Turns out that was messing with the nitroglycerin's viscosity.
So interesting.
So I went ahead and implemented a more precise temperature control system. Result? Boom. 10% improvement in separation yield, less waste.
You just blew them away with numbers. That's how you prove your worth right there.
Numbers don't lie, especially in this line of work. And hey, don't be shy about getting a little technical yourself, Let them see you understand the equipment, the whole separation process.
Speaking of technical understanding, question number 4 is all about a super crucial part of this job. Record keeping. How do you maintain accurate and detailed records of nitroglycerin separator operations? It might sound basic, but I have a feeling it's more than just jotting things down on a sticky note.
You're singing my tune. When safety and precision are everything, those records, they're gold. They tell the whole story of how the separator's been performing, which is huge for troubleshooting, maintenance, staying on the right side of the regulations, all that.
So how do you get that across in your answer? What kind of examples would really resonate with these interviewers, people who live and breathe the explosives industry?
Talk about those digital record-keeping systems, especially if you've been in a field with super strict rules like pharmaceuticals or chemicals. You want them to know you're comfortable with that level of detail. For instance, at my previous company, I handled electronic batch records for this really volatile chemical process. I'm fluent in all sorts of software, logging data, tracking trends, generating reports for those regulatory audits, you name it.
That right there, that shows you're all about accuracy and compliance, which in this line of work, that's non-negotiable.
You got it. And to really nail those follow-up questions, think about the specific stuff you'd be recording for a nitroglycerin separator. Temperature readings, pressure levels, batch numbers, anything out of the ordinary.
Right.
RoleCatcher, they've actually got this cool feature where their AI can throw record-keeping scenarios at you tailored to this exact role and give you feedback. Pretty handy, right?
That's incredible. It's like having a virtual mock interview with a nitroglycerin expert in your pocket.
You got it. And speaking of expertise, question 5 dives right into your problem-solving skills. Can you tell us about a time you had to troubleshoot a nitroglycerin separator issue? This is where the rubber meets the road.
This is where those hands-on skills and quick thinking really matter. What's the secret sauce? How do you knock this one out of the park?
Structure, my friend, structure. Stick with that STAR method.
Nice.
Tell the situation, the task you had, the actions you took, and the result. Walks them through it step by step.
I bet you've got a good example up your sleeve. Let's hear it.
All right, so picture this. You're doing your routine inspection, and you notice the pressure in the separator is dropping. Not good.
Uh-oh.
First things first, you isolate the whole system. Safety first, always. Then consult the equipment manual, run some diagnostics, and bam, you find a leak in one of the pressure relief valves. Minor, but still a leak. So you carefully swap out that faulty valve, follow every single safety protocol by the book, and guess what? Systems back up and running in an hour. No production delays, no major headaches.
See, that's an answer that says, I'm cool under pressure, I know this equipment inside and out, and I don't mess around when it comes to safety.
Music to a hiring manager's ears. And be ready to talk about how you got there, your thought process. They might ask, what else did you think it could be? Or how did you decide what to check first?
It shows you're not just blindly following a checklist. You're thinking on your feet, adapting to the situation.
Exactly. And this is where really knowing your stuff, like the ins and outs of chemical engineering, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, it gives you that extra edge.
That's a great point. Experience is essential, but having that strong foundation, that's what lets you solve problems like a pro.
100%. It shows you're not just pushing buttons, you're a problem solver who gets it.
Speaking of challenges, question 6 tackles the elephant in the room. Can you explain the hazards associated with working with nitroglycerin separators? We've been dancing around safety this whole time, but this one gets right to the point.
Straight shooter. That's question 6. They want to know if you truly grasped how risky this job can be and if you can handle those risks with smarts and caution, not just luck.
So nitroglycerin's explosive, be careful. That's not going to cut it.
Nope, not even close. You to break it down, show them you understand the specifics, like how sensitive nitroglycerin is to any little bump or rub, how corrosive those acids are in the separation process, the chance of leaks and spills, and keeping your workspace spotless.
It's about connecting those hazards to the actual safety stuff, those preventative measures you take. Give us an example. How do you answer this one and make them feel like you're the person for the job?
I'd hammer home that proactive approach to safety. You're responsible and you're making sure everyone around you is safe too. You could say, handling nitroglycerin, it's serious business, I get that. I'm all about following those safety protocols to the letter, wearing my PPE without fail, checking the equipment and work areas regularly, catching those potential problems before they become big ones.
That tells them you're not just aware of the dangers, you're actively trying to stop them for yourself and everyone else.
Bingo. And be prepared to dive into those specific safety procedures, like how you ground and bond things to avoid static discharge, those ventilation systems for fumes, what to do if there's a spill, that kind of thing.
It's showing that you're not just reciting rules. You understand why those rules exist and how they play out in the real world.
100%. And remember, safety isn't a one-time thing. It's a commitment, always being alert, always learning and adapting.
That's a powerful message as we head into the final stretch of our deep dive. All right, we're back, diving right back into those nitty-gritty interview questions for aspiring nitroglycerin separator operators. And this last one, it can throw people off guard.
It's a curveball for sure.
It really is, because we've talked about the technical stuff, the safety procedures, how to think on your feet. But question number 7, it's about leadership. Can you tell us about a time you demonstrated leadership? And you might be thinking, hold on, isn't this a job where you're mostly working solo?
Exactly, but even when you're a specialist, those leadership qualities, they really matter.
So it's not about, like, having a big team reporting to you. It's more about taking initiative, getting things done, motivating the people around you.
Absolutely. Think back to a time when you saw something that needed to be done and you just stepped up. Maybe you mentored someone new, took charge of a tough project, or even just spoke up with an idea to make things better.
Okay, so paint us a picture. How could someone show leadership in the world of nitroglycerin separators?
All right, let's say your company rolled out a brand new safety procedure.
Okay, yeah.
And you notice a few people are having trouble adjusting. Maybe it's a complicated lockout, tagout thing with a bunch of steps.
Right.
You could say, I saw some teammates struggling with the new protocol, so I put together this easy-to-follow visual guide, step by step, shared it with everyone, made a huge difference in getting everyone on board, and our safety compliance numbers shot up.
See, that's what I'm talking about. It shows you care, you want everyone to be safe, and you took the initiative to make it happen. That's leadership. Plain and simple. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier, our trusty sidekick, RoleCatcher, and those amazing AI tools they've got.
Oh, game changers, those tools, especially their interview practice feature. It's like having a personal coach in your back pocket.
It really is.
You can practice hundreds of interview questions, and they're all specific to nitroglycerin separator operators. Their AI breaks down your answers, tells you what you nailed, what you could improve, even how you're coming across, like your body language.
It's wild. I've used it myself, and let me tell you, It boosts your confidence like you wouldn't believe.
And don't forget about their CV resume builder. That thing analyzes job descriptions, finds those magic keywords, and helps you tailor your application so it grabs their attention.
Like a secret weapon for your job hunt.
Uh-huh.
Well, as we reach the end of our deep dive here, any final words of wisdom for our listeners out there?
Look, this field, it's only getting bigger. Skilled nitroglycerin separator operators, they're in demand. So come prepared, take safety seriously, be passionate about this unique line of work, and you'll ace that interview, no problem.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Remember, preparation is key. Use everything we talked about today. Check out RoleCatcher. Those resources are invaluable. And when you walk into that interview, walk in with confidence.
And never stop learning. This field is always changing, so stay curious, keep up with the latest and greatest, and you'll go far.
That's a wrap on today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck out there.